Some of Canada's biggest news just hit mainstream media. Alberta has put a ban to the whole gender ideology and gender transitioning for minors. This is exploding. It's going viral everywhere. And I'm very excited to bring this to you today. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I want to encourage everyone to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet already, and please consider turning post notifications on so you can actually be notified of upcoming videos. As well as I'd like to announce a new channel that I have that I'm working on right now. It's called Sunshine, well, it's actually called Sunshine Adventures, but the link for this, there you go. The link for this is down in the description, maybe, or even the pinned comment below. I'm vlogging my daily life of behind the scenes with YouTube, of other channels, and of like spending time with my daughter and going on adventures with my daughter and stuff like that. So really excited. Link for that is down in the description. And speaking of other links in the description, you have a sticker bundle here, which is 20% off. You have Klaus Schwab, who's penetrated the Liberal cabinet. You have Chrystia Freeland, who is the Wicked Witch of the North. Justin Trudeau on a milk carton. Have you seen me? I did not see that coming. And speech you hate does not equal hate speech. All of the information is listed down in the description, or one link will be pinned down below in the comments. Now let's take a look at the polls here. We've got the Conservatives with 199 projected, and on the low end, they pretty much are projected to hit a majority government. Still 99% likely to win, 95% likely to win a majority government, and only 5% likely to win a minority government. So it's looking very, very strong for the Conservative Party, the future government of Canada. And well, what we're going to talk about today is only going to double down and make the Conservatives even more popular. So this is a very controversial topic when it shouldn't be, but Danielle Smith has banned what seems to be transitioning or changing the body via some form of surgery to minors for the whole gender ideology shtick. And you have someone from the Liberal cabinet, Marcy. Of course, the Liberals are incredibly disappointed to see this. Alberta Danielle Smith, these policies are dangerous and intentionally restrictive. They deliberately endanger and isolate trans kids. Young people should not be targeted by their governments. They should be protected. And this is not very much hitting the algorithm. It's only got 157,000 views, where Danielle Smith's actual announcement, Preserving Choice for Children and Youth, has 2.6 million views. Gays Against Groomers is massive advocate account for this, almost 500,000 followers. And they say, we really love the message and plan. Well said and well done, Premier. We applaud you, which is incredible. So before we get into it, though, I kind of want to know down in the comments, I feel like I already know the answer, but I'll ask anyways, maybe boost the video out further with a bunch of comments. Are you pro kids, minors, doing like gender identity and changing their bodies via surgery? Are you against it? Please let me know down below, because this is where there's like a huge, even bigger divide than politics, because the LGBTQ plus community and liberals going hand in hand with Democrats, they want kids to do this, which is concerning, because as a parent of one child and another one on the way, I'm very scared that kids who don't have the legal right to vote, to drive, to buy tobacco or alcohol, to gamble, they can't do those things because we have to protect kids. Like, you could make massive life-altering changes by invoking or allowing minors to have that type of power over their lives. That's like saying, hey, can a 12-year-old get a tattoo? No, they can't. But can a 12-year-old do other things to their body under the guise of, the LGBTQ thing? And that's where it seems to be, yes, they can, according to the Liberals. So let's take a look at what Danielle Smith has to say in this video, because this is going absolutely viral here in Canada.
Fellow Albertans, today I wish to address a very sensitive issue involving our children and gender identity. This is not always an easy conversation to have. I strongly believe that we as a society must support and reach out with kindness and inclusion to those who identify as transgender and work to eliminate the discrimination they often experience in their lives. As Premier of this province, I want every Albertan that identifies as transgender to know I care deeply about you and I accept you as you are. As long as I lead this province, I will ensure you are supported and your rights are protected. In the case of children aged 17 and under who identify as transgender, I also want you to know that you are loved and supported as you work through your often changing emotions, feelings, and beliefs. As we all know, children and teenagers are in a constant state of biological, social, emotional, and sexual development and change. They're constantly learning about themselves, trying new things, dealing with biological changes, and trying to understand a wide range of new thoughts and feelings. It's a very complicated time. In my view, one of the greatest responsibilities we as parents, teachers, and community leaders have is to preserve for our children the right to grow and develop into mature adults so that they are better prepared to make the most impactful decisions affecting their lives. Decisions like choosing a career, a partner, raising children, their interaction with legal drugs like alcohol and cannabis, their sexual activities and preferences, and many other adult choices. It is my view that list of adult choices includes deciding whether or not to alter one's biological sex. Making permanent and irreversible decisions regarding one's biological sex while still a youth can severely limit that child's choices in the future.
That is inarguable. Like, you cannot argue that point. That's a fact. And anyone who tries to defend that saying, well, they know. Bro, how does a 12-year-old know? They can't even get a tattoo, which is ink on skin. And then you can reverse it later and have that basically like lasered off. But they can't get tattoos, but they can change their gender. Like, it's concerning. It's not coming from a place of hate. It's coming from a place of protection. Because kids they change their mind all the time, right? It's wild.
Prematurely encouraging or enabling children to alter their very biology or natural growth, no matter how well-intentioned and sincere, poses a risk to that child's future that I, as Premier, am not comfortable with permitting in our province. Similarly, the risks and unfair advantages that young women and girls are experiencing when competing with biologically stronger transgender females in sporting competitions have also grown too high. After much discussion, the Government Caucus and I have therefore decided to implement the following policies and guidelines as it relates to transgender minors and athletes, including additional supports to assist transgender adults to secure the healthcare they need and the counseling support for youth identifying as transgender to ensure they can successfully work their way through their complex feelings and emotions as they grow to adulthood. First, on the issue of gender reassignment treatments for minors. For minors age 17 and under, top and bottom gender reassignment surgeries will not be permitted. For children aged 18 and under, puberty blockers and hormone therapies for the purpose of gender reassignment or affirmation will also not be permitted.
Holy crap.
Who've already commenced their treatment at this time. Minors aged 16 and 17 will be permitted to commence hormone therapies for gender reassignment and affirmation purposes, so long as they are deemed mature enough to make these decisions and have parental, physician, and psychologist approval. For transgender adults, our government is currently working to attract one or more medical professionals to practice in Alberta who specialize in transgender surgery to ensure those individuals transitioning have access to an expert in Alberta to assist them with their extremely unique and complex medical needs, rather than going to...
This is such a freaking touchy subject, man, but it's the same reason why we don't let minors drive and have other rights, because you need to protect them. And anyone who's advocating, like, you don't hear anyone advocating for a 12 or 13-year-old to drive a motor vehicle on a 4-lane highway. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. So Alberta is taking a step in the right direction by imposing more laws around this. It's to protect people. It's not to block people. Look, nobody has an issue. Nobody inherently has an issue with people, consenting adults that want to change their gender and want to do all that stuff. Like, who cares, man? You do you. You want to sleep with the same sex. You want to chop things off and re-identify yourself. Like, kudos, man. Like, actually kudos. That's awesome that you want to do something to be who you really are. Like, fantastic. But for kids have such a hard time making up their mind on things. You offer a kid $5,000 or $500 or an Oreo, they're gonna go for the Oreo. So you can't possibly give them the ability to make life-altering decisions like that. It's fucking frightening. And if you don't understand that, you're not a parent. And if you still are under that impression that what Danielle Smith is doing is not okay, and you are a parent, I mean, I just don't see that perspective at all. And it's very concerning.
Quebec, which is now the practice. We will also be building a private registry of medical professionals who specialize in this field to better support the lifelong healthcare needs of transgender Albertans, including access to needed hormones and surgery aftercare. When it comes to classroom instruction on subject matter involving gender identity, sexual orientation, or human sexuality, we will be requiring parental notification and an opt-in requirement for each instance a teacher intends to give formal instruction on these subjects. Furthermore, all third-party resource materials or presentations related to gender identity, sexual orientation, or human sexuality in our K-12 school system will need to be pre-approved by the Ministry of Education to ensure the materials are age-appropriate. For a minor, age 15 and under, the government will require parental notification and consent for a school to alter the name or pronouns of a child. For 16 and 17-year-olds who choose to alter their name or pronouns, parents do not need to give consent, but they must be notified. We know that nearly all parents, even those who may disagree with the decision of their children, will love and care for their children no matter what choices they make. However, in the handful of rare situations where one or both of the parents reject or become abusive to a child who identifies as transgender, we have child protection laws that will be strictly enforced. The government is...
There you go. So for anyone saying that trans kids are being abused and the parents aren't respecting them, there you go. There's laws to protect that as well, right? So it's covering all the bases, and this is a pretty phenomenal move here by Premier Danielle Smith.
Also designing a pilot project to provide appropriate counseling services to support parents and youth identifying as transgender to work through the unique challenges that these families face. We encourage all teachers, parents, classmates, and youth volunteers to be on the watch for any instances of bullying of youth or children for any reason, so adults can assist with putting a stop to it the moment it is detected. Our government also needs to deal with the emerging issue of the unfair disadvantages that young women and girls are experiencing when competing with biologically stronger transgender female athletes in sporting competitions. I strongly believe that those who were born male but have transitioned to or identify as female are owed the opportunity to meaningfully participate in sport.
Their own league.
There are obvious biological realities that give transgender female athletes a massive competitive advantage over women and girls. It is not beneficial for those women, including those who are transgender, for this divisive and sometimes dangerous situation to continue. That is why the Alberta government will work with sporting organizations active in our province to ensure that women and girls have the choice to compete in a women's-only division in athletic competition.
Wow.
And are not forced to compete against biologically stronger transgender female athletes.
Inarguable. You cannot argue that. That's a funny face there, Danielle Smith. You cannot argue that, bro. Like, you take a born male, transition, pump her, whatever, with female hormones if you want, and you stack her up in a cage with biological women in a UFC fight or a boxing match, and the biological women will get their asses murdered, as Joe Rogan likes to say, murdered. This is insane. This is instrumental steps moving forward to actually like laws to be implemented based off of logical thinking. And you're seeing right now, because we have other clips, I hope you stick around for the full video, because the Liberals in Canada are having an insane meltdown. Liberal politicians, Justin Trudeau's having an insane meltdown, calling this an attack on the transgender youth and all this shit. Dude, it's to protect everybody. It's to protect everybody. That's why we have laws that have ages of consent. That's why you can't have a 12-year-old get behind the wheel and drive on a fucking highway, man. It's to protect everybody, the kids and the adults. It's just incredible that Canada is moving in this direction.
Also work with those same sporting organizations to ensure transgender athletes are able to meaningfully participate in the sport of their choice through the expansion of co-ed or other gender-neutral divisions for athletic competitions. I understand how controversial and divisive discussions on topics of sexuality and gender can be, especially when those conversations involve children. I would therefore ask that as we work through implementing these policies, that we, as adults in this province, do all we can to depoliticize the discussion and focus on the well-being of the children involved, whether they are young people identifying as transgender, or who find themselves attracted to those of the same sex, or simply trying to understand the complex and often changing emotions and feelings of being teenagers. They all need our unconditional love and support. And it's to those children and teens that I want to say just how much we love you and support you in becoming the person you want to be. You never have to feel alone or isolated. If you do, reach out to your parents, family members, teachers, a coach, or other trusted adults and ask for support.
Freaking incredible. I'd like to drop some W's in the comment section for Premier Danielle Smith. That's incredible. Now we're going to take a look at what the NDP, the opposition party in Alberta, has to say about this. They have an insane meltdown.
Targeting Alberta's school children, including Two-Spirit and transgender youth. And let me begin by saying that to all kids, and to those who woke up this morning feeling like they were being targeted by their government, that you are loved, you are welcomed, you are respected, and that there are many, many Albertans who stand shoulder to shoulder with you today.
She looks like she's had the life sucked out of her.
Message, some might have heard a calm delivery, but the words themselves were cynical and cruel. Now, while we anticipated that the UCP would bring forward policies and guidelines similar to those in New Brunswick or Saskatchewan, Danielle Smith's UCP went well beyond those initiatives, expanding her attack to include the whole 2S LGBTQ+ community, as well as any child at all, quite frankly, who benefits from a sex education.
This is insane that the opposition parties in Canada are having a freaking meltdown. We're going to take a look at the Liberals here that are saying they're deeply disturbed. Like, it's just insanity. And I'm trying to understand, for the benefit of the doubt, I've tried to understand this Liberal mindset of we need to allow kids to transition, even like 10-year-olds or 8-year-olds, right? I'm trying to understand it. And it never penetrates. It just doesn't, there's no logic. I cannot understand how you can take a minor who's throwing like a tantrum or saying this is how I identify, this is how it is, even if it's consistent for 6 months or a year. It's just they're kids. There's brain development, man. There's brain development. And I'm trying to be empathetic. I'm trying to understand it, but it never gets even close. Never gets even close. So let's watch some grown ass men who are liberals try and justify how this is the wrong move for children.
Danielle Smith introduced some new changes in Alberta that would make some changes to transgender kids, to sports, to policies in schools. And I want to know, the government has introduced legislation to protect trans youth in the past. Is there a role, has your government discussed any type of action on this? Is this something that might fall into a category of withholding health funding, for example?
I'm deeply disturbed. The decision that was made by Alberta places kids at risk. We know that one of the number one reasons why kids take their life is problems around sexual identity.
Is that true? Can someone fact check in the comments that the number one reason minors unalive themselves is because it's all to do? The number one reason is gender ideology. I can't see that as being factual.
And that the ability to be who you are, is so vitally important. And I thought we were in a place in this country, we voted on C3 and we stood unanimously. I thought we were in a place in this country where we're moving past this. I think it's extremely dangerous to engage in this kind of thing, which is, I think, playing politics when you're talking about children's lives. And so affirming gender, making sure that kids and families have the health care that they need on extremely sensitive issues is so very important. So what are we going to do? I'm going to be in Alberta very soon. I'm going to be meeting with Adriana Lagrange. I've had a very strong working relationship with her. I want to talk through these issues. I want to see if we can find a solution through talking to really understand what this is going to mean and the devastation that it's going to bring, so that we can find an off-ramp. That's my first priority, is to try through communicating, and as I say, I'll be in Alberta very soon to have that face-to-face meeting. That's the first step.
Interesting. It's very bizarre, and I think we're going to hear about this in the next up question period in the House of Commons. It's very bizarre that you have grown-ass men even liberals who are saying that this is a bad move. It's literally to protect people. We have ages of consent for a reason. Like, I don't know how many times I have to say that. I just feel like I'm speaking into the void now. So we're going to wrap up this video, but I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments of Danielle Smith's announcement for Alberta and how the Liberals are and the NDP are reacting. Looking forward to reading through the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet already, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.